Look at this. Oh, 44 minutes? That should be long enough for me to cook my... Oh, hello there! My name's Declan Mara, and welcome to Quintessential Cuisine. Today, we'll be having a recipe for disaster! In case this is your first time watching Quintessential Cuisine, what we do on the show is create quintessential cuisine. We've had previous episodes such as Quintessential New Orleans, Quintessential Memorial Day, and Quintessential Car Parts. Unlike other times on this show, when we've made cakes or tarts, this week we're going to be making a smoothie!
Will you stay?
Hey, shut up! I know this is going to be quite a change and quite a challenge for some of you viewers, but this is something that I can do as the best cook ever, who I am. Okay. Well, is everyone ready? I can't hear you! Just kidding, I heard you the first time. Now, to kick things off, you're going to want to start with just your basic smoothie materials, like the ones that magically appeared in this. So you're going to need a little bit of ice cream and a little bit of fruit. Now, you may be asking, Declan, why did you choose to use mint chocolate chip ice cream? And I have a very good answer for that. It's my cooking show, so deal with it. Now, we're going to put it on here, just like that, and we're going to turn on the blender and just mix it. In case some of you are confused on what we're doing today, the recipe for disaster is also known as the Quintessential Dictator. We're going to be making a smoothie representation of the quintessential Middle Eastern dictator. Now, to start off the actual dictator part of this, we're going to have to start the way that most dictators start. And that is with a coup d'etat. Everyone say it with me. Coup d'etat. Alright, and to represent this coup d'etat, we're going to use this chicken nugget. Now, the chicken nugget is also you know, like a coop, like a chicken coop. And if you're looking for coops anywhere outside of the Midwest, there's no place you should look further than Yemen. Now we'll just blend this, and then I'll tell you more about what I mean. Perfect! Now, it seems to be a trend in Yemen for dictators to come to power by a coup d'etat. Dictators such as Abdul Fattah Ismail and Salim Rubai Ali and Ibrahim al-Hamdi. But most importantly, Abdullah al-Salal, who came to power in 1962 by staging his own civil war. Now, it's important when you're making your quintessential dictator smoothie to always start with the coup. To always start with the chicken nugget. Now, the next ingredient is going to be symbolizing our destroying of the idealists, the people with good viewpoints, the westernizers, the modernizers, and that sort of thing. And for that, we will be using these lemon slices. Lemons are acidic, and that's what breaks people down. So we'll just be taking these. Now, if you really want to have a good smoothie, you should leave the seeds in the lemons and keep the rinds on there. It gives it a very nice flavor. Now, if you're looking for a good Middle Eastern dictator who would be a great example of someone who destroys people with good viewpoints, it would be Ruhollah Khomeini. Ruhollah Khomeini had some beef with the previous ruler of Iran, known as Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Pahlavi was a modernizer and a westernizer. He wanted land reforms and representation for all. He was a pretty swell guy, in my opinion. But Khomeini said that he was an American serpent who ought to have his head smashed with a stone. Alright, well, while we're on the subject of Khomeini, I think we might want to talk about how he bamboozled his citizens. which is the important next step if you're going to be the quintessential dictator. Ooh, smells lemony. Now, Khomeini was viewed by the people of Iran as a mystic, which is what kept him in power. He was even called Imam, which was a title reserved for only the 12 infallible leaders of Islam during the early Shia. Now we'll come over here and get the ingredient that is going to represent our bamboozling of the citizens. Now I thought that we should use mint leaves because, you know, whenever you have something that tastes kind of minty, you're like, oh, this must be a healthy food. This must be good for me. So I'm gonna eat it, even if it's a very fatty piece of dessert. Now let's look around for, well, oh, actually, we're gonna use this minty gum because I don't have a mint leaf with me. Okay, we're done with that. Alright, now, the other thing that we're going to need to do is eliminate the freedom. Eliminate that free taste. This is pretty typical of any kind of dictator, regardless of Middle East or any other ethnicity region. Typically, when you're eliminating the freedom, you're going to want to have unequal representation, you're going to want to put the women down, make them wear burqas, things like that. Even though it's really hot, they get really sweaty, it's horrible. Also, to make people who would rise up against you feel bad and not want to do that. So for that, to get rid of the free taste of this lovely smoothie, we're going to want to water it down. You're going to want to use at least 1.5 cups of water. And you may say, Declan, well, when I make macaroni and cheese, I only need to use 1/2 cup of water. But I say to you that this is now macaroni and cheese, it's a smoothie. So we're going to come over here and we're going to blend it all up. Okay. Now, the next step is for what you're going to do for your dictator is backstabbing. Backstabbing is great. I do it all the time. At home, here on the show. Remember my old co-host, Ben? Okay, well, dictators do it too. They do it more than anyone else. And a good example is Abdul Karim Qasim, who was in Iraq. And he seized power in a coup with his good friend, Arif, who he promptly then stole power from, and then skillfully exiled him off into Germany. And so the ingredient we're going to use for backstabbing is going to be cinnamon, because you know cinnamon's got a little bit of a bite. Alright, so we're going to come over here, pop. Fun. Wasn't as fun as I originally planned it to be. And now we're going to hear a word from our sponsors.
It's too late, Gonzalez. There's only 2 of us left. And one of us has a pillowcase.
Oh, welcome back. If you are just joining us now, you've missed about half the recipe. Okay, so now we're to the stage in our Quintessential Dictator where we're going to be turning people against each other. And for this we're going to be using caramel, or caramel, or caramel as our ingredient. This is an ingredient that often turns people against each other because some people say that it's pronounced caramel and other people say it's pronounced caramel. And so this can lead to many kinds of fights, including physical fighting, mental fighting, backbiting. It turns into like a kind of St. Patrick's Day type array of different battles. So now we're going to just let this sit for a second while I talk to you about a dictator that embodies this trait. We're going to go back to talking about our good old friend, well, not very old, because we talked about him right before the break, but our good friend Abdul Karim Qasim, who was great at putting people against each other. Not only was he a great backstabber, but he also put the Iraqi Communist Party and the Pan-Arab supporters against each other in Iraq, which gave him a nice long career of rule that lasted a good long 5 years. Okay, now we're going to come and blend this. Make sure that the caramel gets all throughout the smoothies. We're gonna put it on stir. We're gonna press stir. We're gonna stir it up nice and good. Have it stir for a little while. Look at that. Okay, we're done. We're done stirring. Now I'll take this off. Cool. Well, it's time for us to move on to the next stage of being the quintessential dictator, which is being unfeeling. Someone who embodies this, I think, is Ruhollah Khomeini, who was always known throughout his whole reign as being a very unfeeling dictator. One time he was asked, "What do you feel about returning to Iran?" And he responded, "Nothing." He also facilitated the Iranian hostage crisis, which lasted for 444 days because the Americans were giving medical assistance to the Shah. And he also tried to assassinate Salman Rushdie for writing a book called The Satanic Verses. So for him, we're going to be using unsweetened chocolate, specifically Baker's unsweetened chocolate. Sponsor! So, we will just take out this big chunk of chocolate and put it in here. Boop. And then what we're going to do before we grind it all up is we're going to put it in the freezer. We're going to just drop it in here for a minute. Make sure that there's a nice clear area in there so that you can just have it freeze for a long time. Just leave it in there. I think that's enough time. So now we'll just go back over here, and since it's all going to be solid right now, look at how solid this is. So solid. We're going to go and put it on ice crush, because it's all going to be one big thing of ice. So ready, set, go. Okay, ooh, that scared me a little bit. Ooh. We'll take it down, take a look at it, look at what's inside. Ooh, looking good. Got some bubbles in there. That's good. You know, it's mixing up. Next, we're going to move on to violating human rights. For this, we're going to look no further than our good friends, the Al-Assads in Syria, who were very good at violating rights. They had secret police that would routinely torture, imprison, and kill many political opponents. And during their reign, sites such as Wikipedia, Facebook, and even YouTube were shut down. Oh, I know it's terrible. But anyway, so for them we're going to be trying to take out the ice cream from this smoothie to show that we're getting rid of the foundation of the smoothie. I just realized that's physically impossible. So we're going to move on to the next step, which is hatred. The citizens hating the dictator. So for that, we're going to heat things up. We're going to put it in the oven for 3 minutes. Okay? So just put it down in the oven. Okay. And we're going to do that. Just wait 3 minutes for that to... Alright, that's enough. We'll just take it out now. Well, this is looking pretty revolting. Which is exactly how it should look. Because that's what the citizens should be doing. They should be revolting. And so in order to put down the revolts, what we're going to have to do is have a little violence towards the peasants. So for violence, we're going to be using this fruit punch to symbolize blood, and these Swedish fish to symbolize that it tastes good. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to just take off the top of this and unscrew this. Now it's very important that you unscrew it, because if you don't, then you won't be able to get the juice out. And we're going to pour a little bit in here. Ooh, look at that. It looks just like blood. Just like it. That is some crazy stuff. And now we're going to take out some of these Swedish fish and get ready to... Alright, so that's good. It's perfect. Alright, come over here and put it right on the blender and just mix it up for a little bit. Mix it up. Perfect. Mixing. Absolutely perfect. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about violence. Person, without a doubt, a lot of violence in their regime was Saddam Hussein. So Saddam Hussein put down a couple revolts from the Shias and the Kurds. And, you know, a lot of people got hurt. And so to add insult to injury, he also staged a genocide against the Kurdish people, where 200,000 civilians were killed. That seems pretty bad. Now, this next ingredient can be added at any time, but I'm just going to add it now. This is going to represent trying to hurt other nations, which any good dictator does. A good example of this would be the assassination of the president of northern Yemen, Ibrahim al-Hamdi, who was assassinated in 1977 by Saudi-funded assassins under the employment of the ruler of Saudi Arabia, Khalid, son of Abdulaziz. Now, Khalid was trying very desperately to stop the unification of northern and southern Yemen, which was why he assassinated Ibrahim al-Hamdi. So for the ingredient for this, we're just going to add in a little bit of mozzarella cheese. And since, you know, meddling with other countries doesn't happen a whole lot in the Middle East, you're just going to add in the tiniest pinch of mozzarella cheese. Just the tiniest pinch of it. Just really a small amount. Okay, make sure you don't add a whole lot, because that would just be ridiculous. So we're going to come over here and blend it. Just pop it on the top here, and okay, it's on there nice and smooth. We're gonna chop it up. Now this next step is me being a little bit dangerous on the cooking show. I'm adding in a very advanced ingredient, so any amateur cooks out there, beware. This is very advanced stuff. This is going to represent a minority having too much power. To be a really stellar dictator, you need to be a minority that has too much power, such as the Al-Assads. They're Alawites, which is a very small minority of Muslims who gained high power. And just look how great dictators they are. What we're going to use for this is a very exotic ingredient. Now this is venom from a two-headed cobra. It's very hard to come by. But if any of you are trying to cook it at home, just go to Trader Joe's. It'll be right there. Second aisle usually on the right-hand top shelf. Just going to pour in a little bit because I don't want to kill myself. Ooh, look at that. Spilling it all over the floor as well as into here. I'm going to put a little bit more. There we go. Live on the edge. Live on the edge of glory. Very good, very good. Now, before I clean that up at some point today, I'm going to just mix it up again before we add in our very last ingredient. Just mix it up, stir it very gently. That's good enough. Now, as it reaches the end of our show, I think it's time for our last ingredient. Oh, I know.
God dang it.
And this is going to represent the fall of the regime. The fall of the regime is the death of our dictator. And it can be anything from Salim Rubai Ali's death, which was death by firing squad, to Hawari Boumediene, who died from a rare blood disease with rumors of assassination. So for this, we're going to be using another very special but dangerous ingredient, a spontaneously combusting Oreo. For this, we all need to be very safe, so we're going to use these tongs. Now, right here is our ingredient. Be very careful. Oh goodness. Be very careful with it. Try not to have it, if you drop it, it might, it's okay. I only dropped it once. If you drop it, oh goodness. I only dropped it twice. If you drop it twice, you're okay. It's the 3 times, it's not good. We'll come over here and we'll take care of it. So, the trick with this ingredient is to wait until it spontaneously combusts and then immediately drop it into the smoothie. So we're going to come in quickly, remove this, and wait with it right here. Oh, there's a little flame there. Okay. Whew. Oh, we did it! We did it, everyone! We did it! Thank you. All right, now, finally, we're gonna just blend it one last time. Gonna put it onto here. We're gonna mix it. I love that sound. I love it. Okay, now it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time, everyone, for the final tasting. Ooh, I spilled it on the counter. I'll clean that up later. Now, is there anyone who would like to taste this wonderful smoothie? Really? No one wants to taste this? I've slaved over this. Fine. I'll drink it myself. That is the single worst thing I've ever created. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good evening.